Now for the tab 2. The second tab says 2 on the title. It is a table view. When I click on one of them, I see a picture, arrowhead to go back, iPod Touch, it shows the picture of iPod Touch. I click on a button, it goes back. So now I'm gonna do the same thing, add a second tab bar. So the very first thing that I'm gonna need is a view controller. So I'm going to need another tab scene, but before I need the scene, I need to add the controller class. So I'm going to add a new class, Objective-C class. 2. It's going to inherit from UI table view controller. And there you have it. I'm going to close this assistant editor. I'm going to start implementing. Well, that isn't right. 2 view controller. And there we go. Now we have a 2 view controller. I'm going to implement some properties in it. So in here I'm going to have a property NSArray data array, synthesize the data array, initialize it, number of sections in row 1, number of rows in section data array count. Same old technique as before exactly. At this point I need to go back to the storyboard and I need a table view controller and I'm going to set this to change the class to 2 view controller. Storyboard ID is going to be 2 view controller. Control click view controllers, and at this point there it is, and change this to one and two. I think it's set to and also find the right place where it says 2 and find the right image for it, tab 2. It's got to be a tab 2.png. Get rid of the png and run this application. 2, there we go. We have the iPod Touch, exactly the same thing. Now when I click on it, I want to implement the next screen. Click on one of the rows. I want to show a screen, a view controller. So there's going to be a simple view controller and standalone, no connection segue. I'm going to put that up there and try to get up close to it like that. Click there, bring it close to me. And I need an image view on it. Image view. Here's the image view, and it should cover the whole screen. Somewhere over there, a little bit down there. It fits good. Now I need another button on top of it, right there, to take me back. So that'll be just another button, round rectangular button, and its type is going to be custom. And image was left. Yep, that's what it was. Left. I'm gonna delete that PNG. Left that PNG. Yeah, you almost looks like you need the PNG right there. Now dismiss it, and I need an outlet for the image view and an IB action for the button. Assistant editor, no, that's not the assistant editor. I need to that would be, I need a class for it. Should have done that first. Before I create a scene, I need a class. So that would be for the toDetail, let's call it toDetail view controller, and it inherits from UI view controller. Back to the storyboard. I'll bring that up. Select the view controller, or this bar down there, and now change it to toDetail view controller. Now they're connected. I'm hoping it'll open it up now. Yes. Now I can select the image view, control drag, and I need an outlet, image outlet. I need to select that button, control click drag. I need an action. Back on click. So I have those two. Now that I have that, I need to do one more thing here. To view controller, go back in here, storyboard ID. So I should have done all, I should have had made the two detail view controller class first, and then take care of all of these things. Okay, so at this point I have two view controller and two detail view controller. In the two detail view controller, I'm going to jump into code now. I'm going to create another property, UI image called image. I'm going to synthesize the image outlet image. In the view did load image outlet.image equal to image. That's it. Now on the to view controller side, I've defined a enum with the ki part equal to touch is equal to 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to go over to did select row at index path. Create an image type, but depending on the row that I selected 0, 1, 2, or 3, and using the enum, I'm going to load the correct image. Create an instance of the to detail table view controller, and it is going to be loaded from the storyboard where the identifier is to detail view controller. Modal view, I'm going to call it modal view. Modal views set image property is equal to this image that I just figured, had a logic of figure out which one it is going to be, and present view controller modal view. So with just that much coding, iPod and the back button, iPod touch, back button, and so on and so forth. Also in the to view detail controller, for the back button I misspelled it, but I dismiss modal view controller animated yes. So that's why iPod Nano, and there's a little animation. So now we have two tabs. Now it's time to jump on to making the third tab. Before I make the third tab, I'm going to go into to detail view controller and add another method in here, supported interface orientations, UI interface orientation mask landscape. Now what that should do is put it into landscape like the original application. There you go, see? Back button goes back to portrait, landscape, portrait. So that's its modal view controller, and that we have accomplished it. Basically, if I look at the other example, had what did it have? Had a navigation controller and a table view. This one just has a table view, and the table view, when I click on it, actually calls one of these freestanding views, and using that accomplishes the auto rotation to landscape, back to landscape. Another way, instead of doing this way, this technique allows for the this thing to automatically go into landscape mode. I'm going to go back to the Tabster example and start to look at the next tabs to work on. And there we have it. Number 3 tab has a little, I'm going to click on it first of all. There's a label and a text box. And 3 says 3 up there. There's a badge value, whatever I type up there, shows up down there. And that's not very much. The 4 is just says 4. It has a label on it, and that's it. So I'm going to build those 3 as fast as possible. So back to my project. I am getting ready, so I'm going to have a... Before I start working on the storyboard, as we saw, that I am going to need some classes down here. So I have I need a 3 and 4 view controllers. And it's going to be simply a UI view controller. And there it is, and a 4 view controller. This again is simply UI view controller. So now I can jump into storyboard. I need to make it a little bit smaller. I got enough area to work on right there. So I just need a simple view controller. My classes inherit from control click drag. View relationship segue view controllers. And I should finish it off before I start the new one, right? So I'm going to just click on this one. Okay, that doesn't do it. I'm going to click here and try to figure out. Yeah, I'm going to scroll up and click on the view so it becomes big. Click here, find the attributes inspector, call it thr3, tab3.png, get rid of the png. Okay, got rid of that. And then I want to go into the view controller and take care of, call it three view controller. Storyboard ID, also 3 view controller. Now it didn't pop up for some reason in the list, even though I have added it there. Do I have a spelling mistake? No, I don't. Hopefully that's it. I'm gonna run it at this point, see if it works. Yes, So that's fine so far. Actually, before I jump on to other one, I am a strong believer they got to finish one thing, then we move on to the next one. So I need to go to the view, select the view, and then it had a label and a text box. So I'm gonna put a label there and text field. Now this text field, I'm gonna try open the assistant editor. Yep. I need an IB outlet. Make sure it's 3-view controller. Control click, drag. I need an outlet called text box outlet. Now I also need an action. So whenever I'm typing in it, an action, a method can fire in which I can change the badge value of the tab controller. So I'm going to say control click, move it a little bit side. Now which one do I need? Did end on exit. I want one where I'm just typing in there and it fires. Value changed probably. Let's do that. Text box value change. Now I can switch to the .m file, find that method, and write code in it to change the badge value. Okay, I need to synthesize text box IB outlet. Self navigator badge value equal to text box outlet text. Hopefully that'll do it. So I'm gonna run it and see if it does what I want it to do. Okay, so yes, now you see what happened as I started typing it in. What happened was the text box thing came up and it covered everything. It's not going away. So I need to implement one more method. So when I get out of here, keyboard will go away. Okay, so in order to accomplish that, I need to go back to the storyboard and find my label, and I going to control click and I dragged did end on exit, and I dragged and created the IB action. I named it text box did end on exit. That's the name I gave it, and it's the did end on exit. So basically, click, drag right there, call it did box end on exit. Then in here, it'll work right after that. See, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna type in something, I'm gonna click on return, and I want to see which one is firing. I'm gonna set a breakpoint right there. Click on the return button, and it goes away. Just by having this method here, it's making it go away. So this one isn't necessary, I believe. So I'm gonna try to get rid of that. Maybe this is the iOS 5 technique. Let's try that. because all these samples are about latest stuff. I'm going to type it in there. Yeah, that's it. Just by implementing that one. Now, is this firing? No, you see that method isn't firing at all. Text box value changed. So that was 7. Remove that value and put it in that one. Yep, so I want to fix that. I need the image here, and I need the badge value changing. So I need to come back here. I should have done that very first time. Make sure it happens. Select this button in the attributes inspector, give it a title and also the name of the image file, tab3.png. Get rid of the png, and tab3 is in the images folder, and I should have made sure that it works. You see right now I don't see it. Tab3 dot. Okay, so here's another lesson. In here the png has to be there. tab3.png must exist. So that's what was wrong there. So in the text box did end on exit, I'm going to set tab bar controller dot selected view controller tab bar item badge value is equal to text box outlet dot text. Actually, there is no need for that log function either, and I'll just run this. Tab 3 comes up. I type something in. Click on return, and the badge value, whatever's in the text box, is displayed on the as a badge value on the just above the image. Now number 4. So I go back in here. I go back to the storyboard, shrink it in size so I can see it. This is done, so I'm going to move that out of the way. I just need another simple view controller. Control click drag relationship segue view controller, and I'm gonna go close up. The close up is done by finding the view controller, clicking on the view, then click here for images tab 4.png, selecting the view controller, and there was the 4. Controller, storyboard ID is the same. And we have a 4. Now you see the picture didn't exist because I just I know I put it in there, and that is one very fine point. I gotta press enter or tab to get out of that field, or the value will not take. Also in there, I think there was a label up there. And it said something like tab 4. Here we go. And there's a view control. Now it has a different color though. I think they changed the color. So if I go into view color, background color, instead of white, I'm gonna just make it I don't know, I'm gonna pick uh, just I don't know, make it yellow, just to show an example of how the color can be changed. There we go, 4 tabs so far. In order to show a navigation bar up there, I'm going to say take a navigation bar, drag it up there, double click it, call it 3 and press enter so it takes. And now I want to change the color of it, if I can find it somewhere. Navigation bar, and there's got to be a color property. Black opaque default, yeah, that kind, the default type. And 3 has a little default type navigation bar, just like the other example. So in the next one, I'm going to continue building the 5th one, which says more. That is the next tutorial